Hey friend, I hope you are doing well. If this is your first time here, then hello, my name is Danielle, and that clicking noise in the background is my dog Bud. He is walking on our linoleum floor over there. So if you hear pet noises, it's probably either him or my cat Garrett. Yeah. They're gonna be here today. I started this channel to document my NOBA year, which began in December of 2021 and will be extending throughout all of 2022. This is my second update for my NOBA year. When I started this channel, I had intended on updating every 2 months of my NOBA, but things have happened. I did actually film a second update in April, it would have been. Today, when I'm filming this, it is June 16th. Things have just gotten kind of crazy in my personal life. I've fallen far behind on filming and then editing and then uploading videos. Yeah, it's just, this is much more time consuming than I had expected. We're doing what we can over here. With all of that being said though, I am going to be using this update to update you on everything that has happened this spring, from February all the way through the end of May. I will link my first update in case you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't seen that video and are unfamiliar with how I'm going to be structuring these updates, then I would encourage you to check that one out, just so that we're all on the same page here. I will be going through kind of 3 large categories. The first category will be more of a big picture budget breakdown. I'm going to be looking at how much we contributed to our savings and how much debt we paid off. Then I will be going into my monthly budget breakdown. My husband and I each have a $200 monthly budget. My no-buy, of course, restricts what I'm able to buy throughout my no-buy year, but I am going to share with you how I spent my budget over the past few months. And then finally, I'll offer a little bit of reflections on what my experience has been, how the past few months have gone, and all of that good stuff. So hopping right into the big picture budget breakdown, we have 2 big figures. So our first one is the amount that we contributed to savings and to our sinking funds over all of that time from February through the end of May. I'm not going to break it down as far as what we put where, like how much we have in each sinking fund or in our emergency fund, anything like that. But the grand total for that of what we contributed over those months was $6,060. In the first update, I shared that my husband and I had 11 outstanding debts. And at that time, I was including our mortgage in there, but I wasn't splitting up our individual student loans. I just have kind of attributed one principal balance to each, my husband and myself. So that would be 2 of those 11 outstanding debts. And then our mortgage, I guess, is 3. However, I actually was wrong in the last update. We did have actually 1 other outstanding debt. So at that time, in February, or at that time, at the beginning of February, we had 12 outstanding debts. Since then, over the past 4 months, I think, over the past 4 months, we have contributed $8,400 toward our debts. So now, after paying off $8,400 of our debts, we currently have 5 outstanding debts. So we were able to pay off, I should probably do the math before I commit to that. So over the past 4 months, we were able to pay off 7 debts. That feels like a really major accomplishment. Of course, I'm still not paying on our student loan debts, and we're also not splitting up each of those individual loans that were taken out over the course of our education. So, I mean, if we really want to get into the nitty-gritty, and perhaps we will in the future, we have way more outstanding debt than just 5. But we have kind of 5 key areas where we are dedicating our funds to pay off those debts. The 5 that are remaining are, of course, our largest debts. So I'm not anticipating probably paying off any of those within the next year. That would be amazing if we did, but I'm guessing it won't happen. But now that we aren't splitting up those payments across like 8 different places or 12 or 20 or whatever it was when we first started. We can kind of solely focus on those larger debts and hopefully we'll be able to pay them off a bit quicker. Okay, so now getting into the monthly budget tracking, I will go through each month and give the amount that I spent total for each month. And then I will kind of go through and break down each individual category of things that I purchased. Some of them are individual items, and then some of them are more like larger categories. But I will break those down starting with the highest amount, and we will trickle down into the lowest amount spent. We'll start with February. In February, I spent $220 of the $220.04 budget that I had that month. The previous month, I had rolled over $20.04, so I had an extra $20 to play with, and 4 cents. Don't forget those 4 cents. So I did spend pretty much all of that budget. The highest category, the biggest ticket item, was that I bought a gift for both my husband and I for Valentine's Day. We both enjoy candles. We enjoy our house smelling nice, and my husband's favorite candle comes from Boy Smells. So I spent $71 on that gift, and that does include shipping and tax. So each of these items will include tax and shipping if applicable. The next largest category that I spent money on in February was like food and eating out. That month I spent $38.02 on food. Then I bought a pair of earrings from Etsy, and that was $23.49. I also had to re-up on my cleansing balm that month, so I bought the Beauty of Joseon cleansing balm, which was $21.18. I also have been really struggling with kind of a lack of basic clothing. So one of the things that I needed was some winter tights to give me some more options to wear in the winter. So I did buy a pair of tights for $19.49. I then bought some fertilizer for my houseplants for $16. I spent $15.81 on coffee throughout the month. And finally, I spent $15 buying a dermaplaning kit. Moving on to March, I spent $198.13 of the leftover $200.04 in my budget. In March, I spent $49.94 on coffee throughout the month. I then spent $48.32 on food and eating out. That month, I had to re-up on shampoo, so I bought the Sashawan scalp shampoo, and that was $38.17. I also had to re-up on cleanser, just like the basic water-based cleanser. So I bought the Korres like yogurt foaming cleanser, whatever that's called, and that was $29.96. Like I mentioned, I've been in need of just like basic necessary clothing, so I purchased a plain black t-shirt from Mango for $17.94. I also got some replacement razors for my dermaplaning kit for $6.80. That will be a recurring charge every month. I had to re-up on nail polish remover, so that was I have written down $4. I'm not really sure if that's true. Regardless, that's what I have written down. And then the last thing that I bought in March was I contributed for the first time to Patreon. So that will also be a recurring payment. And that month I contributed $3 to one creator. In April, I spent $198.02 of my available $201.91. The first thing I bought was another clothing item, and this was a pair of pants. They are kind of like a baggier style, and they're olive in color. They're very comfortable. I like them a lot. Those were from a brand called Maine, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I'll have them linked somewhere. But those pants were $106.20, and I think that again includes shipping and tax. I also purchased another gift that month for one of my sisters, and that was $45.05. I went through that Korres cleanser very quickly. So I actually had to buy another water-based cleanser, and I went ahead and bought the Crave cleanser. It's like the matcha hemp hydrating cleanser, I think is what it's called. That one is my favorite, and it does take me roughly a month to go through. But if I'm going to be buying a cleanser each month anyways, I would rather it be my favorite. It's also only like $16. I think with shipping and tax, it's around $20. So that's a recurring payment that will be happening every month. I actually signed up for the subscription of it, the monthly subscription. So I started that subscription, I believe, in April. And so that one was $20.20. And like I said, that should be recurring every month. In April, I documented that I spent $10.78 on like food and eating out. I spent $6.80 on those replacement razors for my dermaplaning kit. Again, that will be recurring every month. And then in April, I decided to contribute to another creator on Patreon. So again, I went with that $3 contribution, and my total now that I will be contributing to Patreon each month is $6. The last thing that I purchased in April was a National Geographic subscription, and that is for like the app version, just so that I could be reading articles and using the app on my phone. And so that subscription is $2.99. In April, you could kind of see my mindset start to change on some things. I decided to sign up for some subscriptions. Like with my Crave cleanser, I decided that if I'm going to be going through that at such a rate, and also if I can only have one at a time, then it's going to be that one. I decided that after I bought the Coras and tried that, it wasn't worth like branching out to try something new. So I decided to just stick with what I know and what I know that I will enjoy all year long and won't grow tired of. If that changes, I can just cancel the subscription. But for now, it's one of the like cheapest high-end cleansers that I've used, and it's my favorite. Also, when I started dermaplaning in February, I went ahead and did the subscription for the replacement razors. For me, dermaplaning is something that I'm trying for skincare purposes and also as a replacement for other sort of hair removal services. That's something that I would have been spending money on in another way. So for me, the subscription is worth it. Also in March, April, I decided that I wanted to be contributing a certain part of my money each month, my budget each month, toward creators that I value. And also I added in that National Geographic subscription because that is kind of like an entertainment and learning piece that I enjoy. For me right now, the monthly subscription to those things that I value and those things that kind of like make life a little bit easier, like having my cleanser on hand at all times, that is worth it to me at the moment. Also, just so then I don't have to be every month thinking about how I want to spend my money. Some of it is already decided for me, and then I can use whatever is left to spend on things that I need. There are some other similar changes coming up that I will talk about further later, but I did want to just like touch on it now that you can begin to see throughout like March and April that the way that I'm spending my money is changing. I also want to note that in April, especially toward the end of April, my thoughts about food and coffee and spending my money on those things changed a little bit. And it's probably not in the way that you're expecting me to say, but hear me out. I'm going to talk a little bit later on in this video about some changes in my personal life. Something that has changed, at least for right now in this moment, as a result of those things, is that I have become less willing to give up on those little things that bring me joy in a day. Of course, that doesn't mean that I'm breaking my no-buy. I'm not just running out and spending money like willy-nilly, buying a blush here and an eyeshadow palette there. But I started to loosen the reins on myself in regards to like spending money on coffee and going out to lunch with friends and things like that. For me right now, I would rather just allow myself to buy lunch or to buy a cup or two of coffee each week on my way to work. I would rather just allow myself to do that right now where I am at in my life right this second, because for right now, that is a compromise that I'm willing to make. So you saw in April that I didn't have any coffee listed. And that was probably true for the first half of April, because at first I did really try to like snap down on myself. But by the end of April, I just kind of loosened the reins and allowed myself to have coffee. Like, this is sounds like such a silly thing to be talking about so seriously, but I am a little bit like hesitant to share some of this because it's vulnerable putting yourself on the internet. I guess I'll just leave it at that. So do keep that in mind. Like, I did not just suddenly stop having coffee, at least in the long run. I tried for a few weeks, but in April and May, you probably aren't seeing the full picture of how I spent my money on like food and coffee. And for now, I'm fine with the fact that I didn't document every second and every cent that left my bank account. Okay, so that's behind us now. Moving on into May. In May, I spent $201.46 of my $203.89 available to me. The biggest ticket item was that I needed to re-up on my cleansing balm again. This time I bought the Pharmacy Green Clean Jumbo version, and that was $58, but I'm nowhere near finishing that up. You know, I highly doubt that I will have that done within 3 months. So for right now, it feels like a good investment. But that was definitely expensive as far as like my skincare goes. The next highest thing that I do have listed is my food and eating out. So maybe that was accurately documented in May. Coffee, not so much, but food, I did spend $27.34. In May, I also decided to buy a hairdryer. I didn't have one, so I don't feel like I'm breaking any no-buy rules. It became like a necessary thing. Like, I was going to work with wet hair, and my schedule was being like impacted by the fact that my hair was going to be wet. So that was a good purchase for me. It was $25.49. That's fine. Next, I did have to repurchase a shampoo. This time I went with the Verb shampoo, which is $24.76, and I'm never doing it again. It's been terrible. I don't like it. So again, kind of like mindset shift. I don't know if this is a good mindset shift, but it's where I'm at right now, that I'm just going to go for the shampoo that I know works for me. So from now on, I'll probably go back to that Sasha Juan shampoo that works well on my scalp. I also had to replace my brow gel in May, so I bought the Kosas Air Brow Gel, and this was my first time having a full size of that product, but I had a mini first that I worked through, so I knew that I enjoyed it, and it was $23.54. I also re-upped on my Crave cleanser because it was part of the subscription, so that was $20.20. The next thing that I have listed here is that I spent a gift card. That isn't included in my my budget, but just so that we all know, I did spend $18 on an LYS concealer. I do have concealers in my collection right now. I had 2 remaining before I bought that one. So the argument could be made that I did break my no-buy. However, the concealers that I had previous to buying the LYS concealer was a Rare Beauty concealer, which is much too light for me. And then I also have a Pat McGrath concealer that is much too yellow on me. I was trying to mix those 2 formulas together because the shades were very different. The Rare Beauty is light and too pink leaning, and then the Pat McGrath was too dark and too yellow. So I was trying to mix them and make them work in a way that like it wouldn't look like alien on my skin. It wasn't the perfect shade, but it worked for the time being. But I grew tired of the fact that the formulas did not want to work together at all. They would like separate and cause texture on my face in a really unflattering way. So when I had the gift card to spend, I decided to just allow myself to buy a new concealer. I was hopeful that the concealer that I bought would be the correct shade for my face so that I wouldn't have to do any of the mixing business. Unfortunately, it's too dark, at least for my face right now. So what I've been doing is mixing the Rare Beauty with the LYS, and so far that's working well, actually. The Rare Beauty concealer is almost gone. I do like the LYS concealer formula, at least from what I can tell with mixing it with the Rare Beauty. So I'm planning to keep that one, but I anticipate that I might need to buy another concealer. When my Rare Beauty concealer runs out, which will happen pretty soon, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I would like to repurchase another concealer. It feels risky because I would like to not purchase just the same color of the Rare Beauty concealer. I tried to buy a new shade with the LYS and it turned out to not be great for my skin tone. Yeah, it just feels like risky business, just like trying to buy something new without knowing exactly that like the shade will be right. I don't live somewhere where there's like a concealer right down the road or something like that. So that's why it's kind of like I can't necessarily go and like shade test. Anyways, for now we'll move on. The next thing that I bought in May was I had that re-up of the razors from my dermaplaning. Then I had my $6 contributed to Patreon. I do have listed that I spent $5.34 on coffee. I'm guessing I bought a couple of more throughout May, but I didn't have them listed. Then I have my National Geographic subscription for $2.99. And finally, I bought a nail polish remover at the dollar store and it was exactly $1. So that's the budget breakdown. As far as my reflections on this no-buy experience go, I do just want to note that because I began in December, this kind of marks my 6-month point, even though we're in June when I'm filming this. And actually I'm like exactly at the halfway point right now because I'm like halfway through June. I do still have over 6 months left, which feels a little daunting at the moment, but it feels good to be halfway through the year. I do though want to say that it has been tough. It's just been kind of tough. February was a pretty good month for me, but then in like mid-March, my mental health just really began to decline pretty drastically. And I've just kind of stayed there. In fact, it's only gotten worse from there, really. That decline in my mental health has really affected everything about my life. As far as the no-buy specifically, it has really caused me to want to buck the system. So that might be what is happening in my monthly budget. But wanting to buck the system isn't exactly happening in the ways that I expected. What I expected was that I would be wanting to like buy an eyeshadow palette or buy a lipstick or buy a blush or do those things that I used to do. That's not really what's happening. Of course there are things that I want. I can always think of things that I would want to try, but there's not just like a beauty item that is just like nagging in the back of my head. I don't have that feeling of just like gnawing like lust after a beauty product or anything like that. The area where I am feeling like a little bit of injustice with the makeup situation, I purchased that LYS concealer in May. I was hoping that it would be a perfect shade match for me, but it's not. I could feasibly move forward with just using my foundations and not using concealer at all. But then I'm kind of like, okay, so then do I just declutter the concealers that I have? It's not like I have this feeling of like I cannot exist another day without the most perfect concealer in my collection. It's not that, but I do feel like this kind of irrational sense of injustice. I'm still trying to figure that out. I might end up breaking down and buying a concealer. If that one doesn't work, I don't know what I do. Do I buy another one? Yeah, I don't know. The whole concealer thing aside, as much as I clearly want to rant about it, the thing that really has been interesting throughout this entire process is that I have become really hung up on necessity items and how much I am having to repurchase those. It seems like most of my budget is going toward just repurchasing necessary hygiene items like my face cleansers and my shampoos. It's like every month I have to buy at least one of those things, if not multiple. Meanwhile, I do have some legitimate need for clothing. I am using like the same outfits every single week. It has caused my husband and I to kind of rethink some rules kind of with the no buy. One thing that we have implemented this month is that any necessary like hygiene products and replacements I can go ahead and buy. So for instance, that Crave cleanser is not going to come out of my $200 budget. This has turned really rambly, but I do have a couple of other things that I do want to touch on quickly. Some of this like inner turmoil that is happening is also related to the fact that I am going to be quitting my job. Actually, I am in the process of leaving my job now. By the time you see this, I will probably have left my position for good. I am ending in my current position at the end of June. And I'm leaving for personal reasons, both related to and entirely unrelated to my current mental health situation. All of that is also related to the no buy because our finances are going to be pretty tight. Things are going to be different. We feel like things are kind of tight now with our finances, but it's going to be even more that way. I don't know yet what the next few months will look like for me. I don't know what the rest of the year will look like for me. I don't know how much money I will or won't be making. That's just kind of like another thing to throw on top of all of this that is also, I think, contributing. They all are contributing to each other, and it's kind of just this mess of like inner turmoil happening within me right now. I'm not sure yet how that might affect the no buy year. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. Bud, our dog Bud is down here sitting at my feet here, and he is kind of knocking the tripod, so I apologize. He also is not letting me not pet him at the moment, so I'm going to be a little bit like giving him attention. Yeah, but I do want to just end here on a bit of a higher note. Weirdly, I have been really enjoying decluttering. I'm learning a lot about myself and my preferences, and it has been fun. It has been interesting to figure out what I actually do like. I'm decluttering things that I never thought that I would ever get rid of, and the things that I'm keeping are even more surprising to me. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm anticipating that it will continue. I'm not going to try to force myself into a minimalist collection at the moment because I don't know that that's best for me for multiple reasons. One of those simply being the fact that it could be wasteful. But I am considering a new minimalism project, and this would be kind of like lifestyle focused and not solely beauty related. And I feel like that could dovetail nicely with the no buy year. If I choose to do it, it would begin in July. So we'll see if I can like get it up to do that or not. But I think it could be fun. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. But regardless, I'm really looking forward to having some time to kind of reset, figure out some next steps for myself, and hopefully get to be in a little bit of a better state very soon. Very rambly, very all over the place for this video, so I apologize, and I hope that I can edit this in a way. Okay, I'm filming. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.